Hey everybody, welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Michael Noland. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Eagles and the so-called rumors. I haven't heard any rumors from the industry, so these are rumors that are being gathered by hopeful fans who have channels on YouTube, and we're going to be talking about that tonight. Is there a possibility, or could there be a possibility of Don Felder ever reuniting with the Eagles one more time before they're already gone? Now, there are rumors and then there are rumors, folks, and this rumor seems to be starting with some YouTube channels right now in the hopes that Don Felder might be joining the Eagles. And then there are rumors from the music industry, and I've heard no such rumors coming out of the music industry. So I'm kind of wondering where these gossamer of rumors are really starting from, and I think it's from hopeful fans. All right, so first of all, as I've stated in past videos, when you think of the Eagles, there are Eagles and then there are Eagles. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I'm talking about what would be considered a full-time Eagle, a full-time member in the band. Of course, the Eagles started off as a quartet, a foursome. That was Glenn Frey, Don Henley, Bernie Leadon, and Randy Meisner. Now, it wasn't long before they added a fifth member with the intention of clearly becoming a five-member band, and that's when they brought on Don Felder. Now, keep in mind, Don did not replace anybody when he joined. He was a third and second lead guitarist for the band, and he was brought on to develop the band, the Eagles, further musically. Now, it was after that that Joe Walsh and Timothy B. Schmidt joined the Eagles, and at the time most of us thought they were full-time Eagles. But history proved us all wrong. They were merely hired as hired guns. They were paid a salary. They weren't a full-time voting Eagle. And so by the time Randy and Bernie had finally left the band, we were left with three full-time Eagles. That was Glenn Frey, Don Henley, and Don Felder. And it was the clash of these three mighty members that indicated that somewhere along the line somebody was going to be left a step behind. Now, what doesn't get brought up a lot of the times when we talk about the Eagles story is, why did this clash actually happen at the time it happened? You see, before that, Don Henley and Glenn Frey wrote most of the Eagles' material. Certainly, the major hits were there, and so guess what? They made more money than anyone in the band. This is something that has happened in rock and roll right from the beginning. You see, if you write the material, then you get extra stipends because you own that material. You are paid as a songwriter. Even in the Beatles, as brotherly as that band was, there was a conscious effort by not only Paul McCartney and John Lennon, but even George Martin, their producer, to kind of keep George Harrison at bay. And it all had to do with the monies due to songwriting. But what happened right around the time that Don Felder had a falling out with these two mega giants? You see, that was right around the time of the whole Napster scam, a lot of music being downloaded illegally and for free, and so a lot of artists right around this time stopped putting out albums like they did in the good old days. No longer were the primary songwriters making that extra buck that they were used to. And it's also interesting because right around this time is when bands began to realize how much money they really could make out on the road. And of course, greedy Don and Glenn needed their extra that they were used to. Now, this is where they were totally wrong, folks. You see, I'm all for writers getting extra for actually writing the material. They're the composers. They deserve that. But when they're out on a tour, playing live, every person in that band is as important as the others. We don't talk about songwriting at that point. We talk about a damn good show, don't we? And so when people say this whole problem really started when Glenn Frey had a problem with Don Felder, and that Don Felder just had a real bad attitude. You know how they painted him in that history documentary on the Eagles. But in the end, it was just a matter of the buck, the almighty buck. You see, I think they had long ago forgotten that he was a full-time member. I think they regretted it. They kept it at the back of their minds, and whenever he dared to participate in the whole process of being a full-time member, you could just imagine the inner groans that they had whenever this guy opened up his mouth. Of course, that brought us to the memoirs that Don Felder put out, Heaven and Hell, and things have never been the same between these members. But here's what I've got to say about this whole possibility. The Eagles should first of all fire Vince Gill. What the hell is this guy even doing there? I'm hearing that Glenn's son is coming back. He can handle those vocals, and then just get over it. And then get every damned Eagle that you can on that show. Can you imagine? They would have most of the Eagles playing in front of us. And even with the painful fact that Glenn Frey is not up there in front of us. I mean, he's one of the main singers and one of the main songwriters, but his son is there. I think we would have a show that was more like when Led Zeppelin did the O2. No Bonzo, but Jason Bonham was there, and somehow it was okay for most of us fans. It wasn't quite Led Zeppelin, but it was the next best thing. And the Eagles could do this so well. But they're gonna have to get rid of one thing, and that is Don Henley's ego. And while we're at it, Joe Walsh owes Don Felder one hell of an apology. That man helped him in recovery. He was a good friend to Joe, and Joe hasn't treated him well at all. And as for Timothy B. Schmidt and what he's had to say about Don Felder, I really don't listen to Timothy too much. He was a replacement person. I love his songs. I love his voice. He's a great bass player. I'm a fan, Timothy, but I really don't care what you have to say, because you were more of a replacement than any of the replacements. But can you imagine that concert, that tour? What a way to go out, and to go out with fences mended. Oh, desperado. And like I said before, they better get it done before it's already gone. All right. That's the video for tonight. If you enjoyed it, I always ask you to give it a thumbs up, helps with channel growth. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, that's easy. Just hit that subscribe to the tribe button, then tap that top bell icon, and you'll be notified of all my upcoming videos. All right, I'm Michael Noland. This is The Bottom Line, or at least as I see it. And together, folks, you and I, we are the tribe. I'll see you in my next video.